Hello, my name is Sydney Wynn. Thank you for this amazing opportunity to answer the very important question of should Election Day be a paid federal holiday? Some believe this would allow more working class citizens to vote without losing income. On the other hand, others believe voting is our civic duty and everyone is responsible for doing so. As we celebrate Black History Month, this is a great question. When I think of voting rights, I immediately think of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and other civil rights leaders who fought hard to ensure equal rights for all, including African Americans and the economically disadvantaged. To make a thoughtful decision, I needed to do more research on this topic. As I'm learning right now in my AP government class, the 15th Amendment, 19th Amendment, and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 were all important in ensuring that women, African Americans, and all people, regardless of color or economic status, were able to exercise their right to vote. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 also banned literacy tests, which were used to exclude voting rights to those who are unable to read or write. Here we are over 50 years later, and the United States has one of the lowest voter turnout rates compared to other countries around the world, where many have Election Day on the weekends or make it a holiday. Most recently, we saw a surge in voting for our 2020 presidential election. The increase in voters has not been seen in decades, but I'm sure the conflicting campaigns between President Biden and former President Donald Trump ignited this. So why are people not voting? Is it really because working class citizens are losing income or are unable to attend because of working? I learned that political apathy is one of the top contributing factors to citizens not exercising their right to vote. Some people are simply just not interested in politics, while others think that their vote does not matter. Considering this factor, I'm not sure if Election Day were a paid federal holiday, it would make much a difference to those who believe their voice does not count. If Election Day were a paid federal holiday, there could be less of a turnout at the polls because schools would be closed and people would likely not want to bring their children with them to stand in line to vote. Also, there's reduced public transportation on federal holidays, so people may be discouraged or unable to go to the polls if they rely on buses and trains. If Election Day does become a federal holiday, those who work in retail, restaurants, and other service jobs will still be required to work, and these may be many of the voices that we are not hearing now in our elections. Initially, I thought there wasn't a real need to make Election Day a federal holiday because registered voters can do early voting. In the state of Maryland, early voting is available 7 days before Election Day from the hours of 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. This includes weekends on both Saturday and Sunday. With those extended hours early in the morning, late in the evening, and on the weekends, along with the updated technology for voting machines, this has reduced the extremely long lines that were very common many years ago. With the extra time to vote early, I think almost everyone would be able to find a time that works for their schedule if they truly believe their voice counts. What I didn't realize until I researched a little more is that several states still do not offer early voting. So that definitely makes it more difficult to those who work long hours and on the weekends. Thinking about the vast differences across the United States, with some states offering early voting, while others have made it a public holiday, requiring employers to provide paid time off for voting, and still some states that do not offer any incentives to get citizens to vote. Perhaps instead of Election Day becoming a federal holiday, each state could be required to institute early voting, along with giving citizens 2 hours to vote, which will hopefully make a positive differences in the polls. Thank you for the opportunity to think about this important question and for considering me.